Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more.
Hey guys, welcome to BTech. I'm Basil and this is the Sony Xperia Z3 Plus. Identical to the Xperia Z4 that's been announced in Japan, the Z3 Plus is the name it's going to get in its European variants as well as a few other regions. Why? Well, I don't know why, but what I can tell you is a little bit more about this phone. And while Z3 Plus implies it's a purely incremental upgrade, there are a few key things on here that make it a much more preferable device, especially for gamers out there, than its predecessor, the Xperia Z3. For starters, we're going to take a look at the design. It's a little bit slimmer. It's 6.9 millimeters. Now, this isn't a big deal for me personally at all. It also feels a little bit lighter. It does feel a little bit better than the Z3. You can bring a Z3 into frame and you can see, you can't really tell the difference between the two side by side, but the Z3 feels heavier, and it's probably because it has a larger capacity battery. The Z3 Plus has a 2900 milliamp cell, so it has taken a hit there, but what you do end up with is a device that is more slender and easier to hold for longer periods of time. In addition to that, what you can also expect from the phone is front-facing speakers that look significantly more demure. They reside in the gap between the metal frame and the glass panel. There's also a wider angle on the front-facing camera, which is going to get more people in selfies and in group shots, for example. You can see the screen takes center stage, full HD, 5.2 inches, triluminous display. Nothing really too new there, but we can do a side-by-side when we do a comparison with the Z3, see if brightness and other elements have improved. You can also see you've got that camera and sensors and speakers, and that's about it. As far as the right-hand side goes, you've got a volume rocker and power button. You've also got a camera button, and you can obviously fire up that camera button to launch the camera. If we jump out of that, we can see at the base you've got an exposed micro USB connector. That means you have no flaps, so anyone who is sick and tired of flapping and unflapping the Z, Z1, Z2, you will be very happy that the Z3 Plus doesn't require flaps to the left-hand side. There is a pretty nifty thing that I can't quite pull out because it will shut the whole phone down, but it's a little tray that houses the SIM card, nano SIM card, and micro SD card slot, which means there is just one flap. Sony has streamlined the entire flap ecosystem. Up at the top, 3.5mm headphone jack, and around the back, a 20.7 megapixel camera. This is probably the most tired element of the phone, to be honest. Sony's had this since the first Xperia Z1, so we really can't wait for them to throw optical image stabilization on, or do something to really shake it up. Obviously, just like with its predecessors, you can record 4K video on this thing, and there are new enhancements as far as imaging modes go as well. Now, as far as that screen goes, triluminous. I can pull it closer into frame so that you can get an idea of exactly how it looks. At 5.2 inches full HD resolution, it's over 400 pixels per inch, so it's immediately going to be very respectable, better than an iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, for example, but it isn't going to be groundbreaking, nothing like the LG G3 or the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge, both of which also come in at 5.2 inches with Quad HD panels. As far as the user interface goes, it's Android 5.2, so it's Lollipop. You can expect a very similar version of Android to that which we've seen on Xperia devices running Lollipop before at 5.0.2, so ultimately what you have is a variable number of home screens that you can pinch to get an overview of, and you've also got the ability to add widgets, change your wallpaper, swap out themes, and access some home settings. So you can allow auto rotation on the home screen, which is pretty sweet, and you can control the icon size as well. So now we can have a landscape home screen, and to be honest, that's actually really useful. I've wished that every phone had that utility for a fair while now. I type on my phone, I use a Microsoft keyboard dock, and that would be awesome for that. If I was to talk around the notification tray, it's again a very stock experience. 2 tiers, you've got quick toggles right there. You can customize the quick toggles, which you can't do in stock Android, which is pretty sweet. You can also quickly access your settings, which you saw we did earlier, and you can access your user profile and add other users. That's going to be really helped along by the 32 gig internal memory in here. In addition to that, you can also see an applications tray you can customize pretty extensively, and it's got all the standard applications that Sony loads on their phones. Ultimately though, you're probably thinking exactly what we are. This is a very, very similar phone. This will not be worth an upgrade from a Sony Xperia Z3 unless you are bashing your head against a brick wall that you have run out of internal storage for games, in which case trade it in and pick up one of these. 32 gig of internal memory, no bad thing. Obviously, being a Sony Xperia device, it is waterproof as well. In addition to that, you've also got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 processor powering everything along. We're not allowed to benchmark it as this is a prototype device, but what we can say, given that we've used a fair few Snapdragon 810 processor devices before, is it will plow through any games, especially paired with that 3 gig of RAM. In addition to that, you have LTE up to Cat 6 here in the UK, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, etc. The 2900 milliamp battery is really the point that's let us down the most, just because one thing we've always associated with Xperia phones is really decent battery life, and it went down in the Sony Xperia Z3 from the Sony Xperia Z2, and it's gone down again. Is it really worth shaving a couple of millimeters off? Well, to be honest, we're going to have to wait till we get this in, and we'll see how it actually impacts